We back, man. We back. We live. Second episode of 2025 Policy and Culture. We got a special guest here today, man. Backyard BBQ, Nassau County. Roosevelt is in the building.
What's up?
A lot of hometown pride right here, man. Y'all give it up for my man Kenny Ware.
What's going on, man? How you doing? How you doing?
Kenny, man. Happy New Year first and foremost, man. I appreciate you pulling up to come tap in with us, man. The work that you're doing out there in Nassau, really bridging the gaps, really showing an entrepreneurial avenue with the cooking, with the food, with the restaurant. It's just A1, and I like how you also tapping in with the youth with it, showing the youth like, yo, this is obtainable. You feel me? You could use this hustle the same way you use other hustles. You feel me? I like how you make that relevant. Just give us some background on you, like where you from, how you got started in the cooking, and just your background, how you came up.
Okay. Yeah, first and foremost, like you said, Happy New Year. My boy Drew, Mr. Boulder Mac himself, 631.
Yes, sir.
We got my guy Dan Lloyd.
Yeah,
nice and neat, never sloppy, man. First, I want to give you y'all flowers, man. Y'all really laying the groundwork, you know what I mean, and bringing people with y'all, like it's a blessing to be here, you know what I'm saying? So I want to start off by giving you y'all flowers, man. I appreciate the work y'all doing. And this the new Long Island. That's all I got to say about that, man. So you know how we coming for 2025. More health, more wealth, and a lot of prosperity.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Amen.
sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, born and raised, exit 21, Roosevelt, Long Island. Like 3 generations of Roosevelt running through my veins, My grandmother still live in Roosevelt, pops from Roosevelt, Nassau Road, legend, Roosevelt, Roosevelt High School graduate, last Long Island championship, 2007, Roosevelt High School. So,
What was that, basketball or football?
Football.
Okay.
Too much running in basketball for me. Yeah.
Nah, definitely a legendary town out there in Roosevelt, man. A lot of rich cultural history out there. Dr. J is from out there. A lot of people know that, but Public Enemy is from out there.
Yep.
Professor Griff, Chuck D, Flavor Flav, that whole movement. Centennial Park, a legendary park. The list goes on, man. It's just a Long Island hub, I feel, for culture, right? You now, how old are you now, Kenny?
35.
35 years old. Like, how you pay it forward back to Roosevelt? You born and bred Roosevelt, 3 generations of Roosevelt. The community is changing a lot in Roosevelt. How you paying it forward? How we, like, giving it back to the youth? You know what I'm saying? So they don't make the same mistakes that we made, the people before us made, and the people before them made.
I mean, I think the most important thing is showing the youth from Roosevelt and all over Long Island. I'm born and raised Roosevelt, but we are all communities. We got the restaurant Backyard BBQ on the Nautical Mile, and all of the minority communities around. But it's basically just showing the kids and the youth that if I could do it, you could do it. And they see a familiar face. I'm not that far removed from them, so they can relate to me and what I'm doing. So I think that's the most important thing. And just showing them, like, listen, this is the right way to go right here. Like, this is you want to be a mover and shaker, this is what you need to do. You know what I mean? And it just instilling that in them. And, like y'all slogans, bridging the gap between policy and culture. Like, I think that's the flyest thing ever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the cool thing to do right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We always like to kind of go into a journey too. So I'm very curious because one of your, I would say, probably what stands out most is your almost like expertise in fine cuisine, right? And so coming from Roosevelt, like, what was it in your early age that kind of was like, I want to get into the industry of being a chef. I want to get into, like, understanding how food works. What at a young age?
I mean, to be completely honest with you, like, I come from a family of cooks. I mean, my aunt, God bless her dead, she had a restaurant on Babylon Turnpike, a soul food restaurant. But I always liked to cook. I like to eat. I'm a chubby kid growing up. I first went to school. I went to school for business, but I just knew that, like, I knew once I got into high school, I'm like, I'm going to college. I don't know what I'm going for. I'm getting out of here. Like, I'm out of here. I gotta go see different things, see the world. Like my mom's, when me and my sister was younger, my mom's used to take us on vacations like every year. Like she would take us to the city and just show us how to get home. So now being 35 and just, you know, in hindsight, just thinking about that is like she was just exposing us to the world. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like she was just exposing us and showing us like, yo, listen, it's more than life than this 1 square mile. So I end up going to school at SUNY Morrisville. And when I was at school, it was school for business. And I'm like, nah, this is too boring. Like I need to be moving around. And the school had a restaurant management program at the time. So I was always working. So I was working in the kitchen. The spot is called the Copper.
And you knew how to cook already?
Not professionally. I just knew, you know what I mean? Like if you taught me how to do something, I could move around, and I'm observer. So like I'm observing everything. I'm washing dishes, but I'm watching the chef. So you know what I mean? When my numbers call, like I'm on it. Like somebody call out. So I started doing that. And my man at the time, he was going to school at Johnson & Wales. So I had graduated with my associates in food service management. And he was like, yo, you should come check out Johnson & Wales, which is in Providence. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go check it out. I went to Johnson. Now, if you know anything about culinary schools, Johnson & Wales is a top culinary school, like top of the line, like top of the line school. So I went, and before I left, I'm like, yo, I'm coming here. Went there, and I always had in my mind, you know, just growing up and coming up right now, a lot of chefs that look like me wasn't a thing. So I love to prove people wrong. So I was like, you know what? Once I graduate from here, I'm going to go work at the best restaurants around the world. So I literally graduated from Johnson & Wales, moved back to Roosevelt, and worked at ABC Kitchen, which is in Manhattan. There's this famous chef. His name is John Georges. And I literally, and it's funny because me and my mom joke about this now. She used to be like, you know, I remember you took that job making $7.25 an hour and couldn't even afford to get to work. And you was telling me like, nah, Ma, I need to work for the best, be the best, do the best. And it'd be like some days I would stay in the Long Island Railroad. If you ever took the Long Island Railroad, chill in the bathroom so they don't gotta get your thing.
Ticket.
Yeah, stayed there for a couple of years, worked my way up, finally got the job. The chef at the time left. He went to go open his new spot. So I had a little moment, and I used to always go to Barnes and Nobles. So right before, so like going to work in the city, you either have to be 2 hours early or 2 hours later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't none of that like, yo, I'm late, or none of it was you late, go home. You know what I mean? So I would go early, chill in the Barnes and Nobles, and read a bunch of cookbooks that I couldn't afford, but I was just picking up the knowledge, just like thoroughly immersing myself in the industry. And I picked up this one book. It's called Duck and Waffle. And I'm like, when I got to the back of the book, I'm like, yo, where's this restaurant? I want to go check it out. And the restaurant was in London. So this was back, I can't think, this had to be like in 2018, maybe like 2016. I'm like, yo, I'm going to finish working here. I'm going to sell dinners out of my crib for 3 months, save all my money. I bought a one-way ticket to London and went and worked for free. Like, no lie, like, no lie. Literally, and when I tell people that, they're like, yo, you really went there and worked for free? Like, I ran it up. 283 Park Avenue, if you ask, like, before anybody was selling plates, had the roster pasta, shrimp po' boys, killing them. Went one-way ticket. Funny story, when I got to London, I'm not knowing, like, you can't go to another country and work for free. You got to have a working visa. You got to have all of that. So, like, I'm young at this time. I got my knife kit. I got my suitcase. I don't know anybody. I don't know where I'm staying. I don't know nothing. Like, I don't know nothing. So I get to the customs, and they ask me, like, yo, what you doing here? And I'm like, I came to work. Like, I came to work for free. And the guy looked at me. He was like, he's a black guy. He's like, listen, if I was in America, they'd throw me in jail right now and send me back. And he stamped my passport. So when I turn my phone on when I'm in London, my mom's called me, and my pastor at the time he found a family for me to stay with, so I ended up staying with them.
Oh, you got a host family?
Yeah, I had a host family. Like, I was about to go live in a hostel. Like, I was like young, hungry. I'm like, yo, and at the whole time, like, I'm shook. I'm in another country. Your phone don't work over there. You got to go get another chip for your phone. All kind of stuff going on. This is before we even had the chips in our debit cards. So my card wasn't working. Like, it was like everything that could go wrong could go. And I can't even call my moms and be like, oh, my pops or any my man, like, yo, send me money or come pick me up. Like, it's none of that. It's like I'm dolo.
Quiet.
And I'm like, so I had a Michelin star book, and I flipped the book. The first restaurant I went to the back door, told the chef, restaurant's called Restaurant Story. The chef, funny enough, he used to work in New York. He was a young dude. He was like, I was like, yo, I want to work for free. I ain't end up even going to the restaurant I originally.
Duck and waffle.
I still haven't even been there.
Ever?
Ever.
Oh, dang.
I end up working with this chef, Michelin star chef, for 3 months, working for free, like taking the train, working there, ran out of money in London, and started working at a farmer's market, selling bread, and just grinding like that. I couldn't even stay because I couldn't get a working visa, but then I came back, and then the rest was history after that.
How was it in London though? Like, what was that experience?
I mean, it was fly. Like when
Roosevelt to London.
Yo, when I was in London, bro, like when you say nice and neat, never sloppy, like the janitor is going to work with a suit on. Like everybody got their briefcase. Me, I'm in my hoodie, sweatpants. I'm standing out. Like, you know what I mean? Like the tube is clean. You can eat off the floor. And then like at that point in time, it's just like, as I'm thinking about it, it's like life is just like so far. They're so far ahead of us. Like they had the chips already and their debit cards. Everybody's proper. They eat with a fork and knife. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was a great experience, man. It was great.
So at that point though, what is it like? So if you nice in a sport or something, it's like, you know it, or someone tells you like you got something different about you. Like, what in the chef world is it? Like, why can't I be a good chef?
I mean, you can.
But like, what? How do you know like you're nice? Like, what makes the confidence?
Nice and neat, never sloppy.
No, man. Like,
that's what makes the confidence. You know when you step in the kitchen, like you got your shoes is polished.
So you basically saying just the presentation, everything
the presentation,
is
there.
How you move. It has nothing to do with your hands or the ability to smell or taste or put things together?
Everything is you got to be like methodical. Like it has to be like you got to be militant in the kitchen. Like you got to be on time. You got to be fast. You got to be clean. You got to be able to multitask. Like, and those are all skills that progress after the time. It's like when I first started, I was horrible. Like the other cooks used to laugh at me, like, "Yo, your knife not sharp, or you don't know how to do this." But it was just like it's like sports, bro.
How much of it though? How much of it is like textbook? Then how much of it do you really need?
It's all on in the field training, like.
So it's nothing to do with like I could put together this meal like with a certain taste that tastes better, or is it just you just do the right ingredients every time? No, because that was the case. Anybody could be a chef.
Nah, I mean it's that comes to play, but first you got to get the mechanics down. Like, you know what I mean? Like with sports, like if you don't know how to dribble the ball, or you know what I mean, shuffle.
All right, prime example. So dribbling the ball in basketball, what would be considered dribbling and cooking, or running the football? What would we consider that?
Knife skills.
Knife skills. Okay.
Yeah, so you gotta have the basics. Like you gotta have knife skills. You gotta know what ingredients go to what. Like I still have all my cookbooks. Like this is one book. It's called the Flavor Bible, and it has any type of spice, anything in there, and it tells you like this goes with this, or this compare well with this. So once you start building up your palate,
that's
over
what I'm
the
asking.
years
Palate.
and the experiences. So I think. For me, it's like I experienced so many different. Like I already had the cooking from my parents, from my family. Like I already had the palate. Like it was just like a sixth sense. So like once I start dealing with herbs and different produce that I never seen before, and I'm like, oh, this could go with this. I mean, I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but that's how I end up coming up with the dish at the restaurant. the collard green and cheese empanadas because I know like, you know, spinach and cheese go together, collard greens and this is in the same family. So, you know what I mean? This is how a lot of fusion. So
That's fire. That's definitely fire.
Yeah, no, my cousin's a chef, and I'm always asking like, what makes it like fine cuisine rather than just you're a good cook, you know, like what? But that makes a lot more sense. The palate of it.
yeah, the palate level, how your presentation. I mean, you have your different levels of restaurants. You could fine dining, you know, casual, upscale.
So let's talk about that real quick before we go back to when you went to London to come back to Roosevelt. But culturally, why don't we have more fine cuisine or so French restaurants, Italian restaurants? Why are they able to be so at scale and fine, and we can't do that with more of the black cuisine?
I mean, I'm classically French trained, so
But French,
yeah, but I'm gonna tell you. So when we talk about cooking, like everything started with us, minorities. Like, you know what I mean? Like the slaves taught their masters how to cook. So if you think about like if you see like how everybody right now is celebrating minority chefs, we the ones that really came up with all of this. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about like, you know, like slaves, they do things like pickling and canning vegetables and stuff like that. They did that because they wanted to make sure that they had enough and it stayed because they didn't have refrigerators. They was outside in the field. You know what I'm saying? So those are different ways to preserve food so our whole family could eat. You know what I mean? And those is like techniques that, you know, was taken from us. I spent some time, I lived in Savannah, Georgia too, and I learned about like low country and Gullah Geechee cuisine. Like I really do this, man. Like for real. Like, so we could sit here and talk about this all day, but if you want to say like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, what y'all do on bridging the gap between policy and culture, like we are the culture. And once we start realizing that just in life in general, like we started all this, like we started the swag, we started the Diddy bop, you know, however which way you want to put it, you know what I mean? Bow tie, look, you know what I mean? Look back in the day, like, you know, we started all of that. We just, you know, kind of let people come in and take our ideas and.
Well, why I ask that though is because a lot of the stuff to get policy and culture, let's talk about the policy. When we reference economic development in that industry, it's always that you have some type of regional construction project, housing development, and then it's sales tax. So sales tax would be restaurants, it's food, it's nightlife, it's a social life. So you look at Nautical Mile, you look at South Shore, Bay Shore, Patchogue, even Port Jeff. Huntington, Farmingdale Village now. Like there's certain areas of Manhasset in Long Island. Like what makes up a thriving downtown is most likely restaurants, fine restaurants.
A big portion of it is
but
restaurants.
why can't it? A lot of that is not necessarily. Why is it not considered? What I'm trying to figure out is like why is there a disconnect between black fine cuisine and high end restaurants?
I mean, I feel like there's. I feel like it's not. It is a disconnect, but there's not a disconnect. We just need more of it. We need more. You know what I mean? Look at the brother. I don't know if you heard, like Charlie Mitchell. He is the first black person to win a Michelin star in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I think it's like I never even met him. And like I said, like when I first like this is the number one restaurant in the world at the time, 11 Madison Park. It's in New York City. You know what I mean? Like, and I went there, we call them stages and trails. I went there for a trail. And the first thing
when you say stages and trails, what's that?
It's like an interview, like a in-person interview. You work for the day. They used to do it where you work for free for the day, but now because of all the labor laws and stuff, you get paid minimum wage. But you know, you see, I got the beard. We all got beards. They went in there, and they like the first thing they told me was like, "Yo, there's a CVS across the street. You need to go get a razor and shave."
I'm gonna ask you about that too.
And I was like, I was like, you know what I mean? I looked at him like, I don't know, you know what I mean? And but like, you know, I don't know about a lot of people, but I know for a lot of minorities, like when you shave a certain type of way, or if you don't, you start getting ingrown hairs and bumps. So a lot of people, we can't shave every day. And that's a real thing that I had to even deal with in culinary school. Like I used to have to wear beard gardens. Like, you know, I understand, you know, about hair getting in the
They
food.
feel like the hair come out.
Yeah, but it's just like as if your hair is trimmed up and things, like it's just how we look and how we present ourselves. So I feel like, you know what I mean, that's another story for another day. But I feel like, you know,
No, but that's important. That's important too because again, I'll just reference. I have a little cousin. He's big into fine cuisine. Now he has very long dreads, not necessarily always tightened up with the look and everything like that. And he's facing some like opposition to getting into places. I always tell him like you gotta reference you, but I explained to him like you don't think that maybe the presentation sometimes. He's like, what you mean? Like you're handling food, like
yo, bro. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you can't judge a book by a cover. That's number one.
Not the quality.
I don't want to cut you off, but it's like I should have the right to be able to say like, yo, I don't want you cooking my food looking like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that you know what I mean. Like I come from the era where we had to like starch our chef uniforms before going to class. You know what I mean? Your hair, you got to be presentable.
I mean, there's stomach viruses. Like, you could get sick.
Yeah.
Somebody, like, because to Drew's point, like, this I'm always telling, like, and I'm talking about, like, he wants to get into fine cuisine, and he's feel like there's some barriers, you know, they don't like black. I'm like, yo, there's a Chef Kenny Ware is doing this thing. What are you talking about, right? But, like, if you're not tightened up, like if you're not washing your hands,
yeah, now that's
basic
hygiene.
Things,
that's hygiene, yeah.
And you want to go be a fine cuisine, like I'm saying, yo, there's a disconnect there.
Yeah,
like,
there's a disconnect, but there's a lot of things that comes about. You know what I mean? Like it comes about, you know, what you seen, what you've been around, what pedigree you come from, so to speak. So like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not cooking, you know, fine cuisine right now. I'm more casual food right now, but I come from the fine dining pedigree. Like there's you can't come in there not sharp. You can't come in there not looking clean because at any moment, anything like Jay-Z might walk through, and it literally happened one day. Like we working, Jay-Z walked through the back. You know what I'm saying? Or the chef or the owner or the multi-million-dollar investors walking through. The New York Times might come in. Like, you know what I mean? Like I actually got a clip where a restaurant I was working for was getting reviewed by the New York Times, and I used to always, you know what I mean, like my chefs, they'd not make jokes, but I kind of think like they were threatened by how I used to, the caliber of how I used to hold myself, and they used to be like, oh, you too cocky. I'm like, no, I'm just actually confident in what I'm doing. But I used to make a joke when we was getting reviewed by the New York Times, and the photographer came. I said, yo, this gonna be the money shot right there. Let alone the picture came out and who was there? The money shot. Like my barber blessed me that day. It was good. Like fast forward later, like, you know what I mean? Now I'm getting, you know, photo shoots by big companies, chef wares and different deals and things like that now. So I kind of like spoke all that stuff into fruition, but I worked hard, bro. And you know what I mean? You say, you know, why don't we have, you know, upper echelon restaurants? That's something that's, you know, working on for the future, because I want something like that in Long Island. Like I want to be able, and shout out to rest in peace to, you know, my man's father, Chef Harris. You know, he had one of the first black fine dining restaurants in Long Island, cornbread and caviar, man. Like my boy, my line brother John, he actually his son, so that's who put me on to cooking. Okay. You know what I mean? Like I was just in Cali. He doing his thing in Cali right now. Sunset Boulevard is called Linden. Like lit. He's all over fine dining, and we started, you know, going to culinary school. He used to have this supper club in his apartment in Jersey. We started actually doing it for Valentine's Day. We was just trying to hustle. Like, yo, we're gonna do like 5 courses, $200 a head. We're gonna invite everybody. They just bring your shorty. You know what I mean? You in Jersey, loft, boom. And he just took off with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So Shout out to his pops, John Harris, cornbread and caviar. If you from Nassau,
how many
you've
times
been there.
how many times you won someone's heart over by just cooking for them?
Come on, man. You trying to get me caught up, man. They say food is the way to a woman's heart, man. For real.
But nah, Kenny, I see that you like a real student of the game with the cooking. I didn't know that you was like that much like invested into the cooking.
A lot of people, I don't mean to cut you off, Drew, but a lot of people, they see me, they see, you know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, like Backyard BBQ, we here to stay. Like, we on the map, you know what I mean? I love the support. I love a lot of, unless you really know, you know what I mean? Like, I really do this for real. Like, for real.
When you told me you went to London and Johnson Wells, I was like, oh, all right, like he took this serious. But when I knew, like, all right, you must be nice. So I'm watching a documentary one time on Netflix, right? It was about the Chicago chef named Charlie Trotter. So, and I'm not into, like, I'm just watching it because it was like, he was the best. So I'm like interested in what made him the best. Mind you, they're saying he's the best in Chicago in anything. This is in the 90s.
Yeah.
So they're comparing his, like, mystique next to Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, that's how much power he had.
Charlie Trotter.
Like, they were saying, like, he was bringing more people to Chicago than Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, he was bringing billionaires from other nations
for
and
real.
stuff.
For
So
real.
I'm like, yo, I'm watching this thing. He got big. There's a lot of ego in the chef world. Like,
I mean, it's a hard game, man. It's a lot of late nights, early mornings.
yeah, he was
stress.
he was sleeping in the kitchen.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I told you, I just took a quick power nap before I came. Like, it's just a lot. You know what I mean? Like, you got the family, you got to balance things. It's a lot. So
it was a long story, but it was dope. So he ended up not getting like the 3 stars, something like that. He was supposed to get it, but he had a protege.
Yo, bro, there's chefs that killed themselves for not getting Michelin stars.
That was crazy.
Like, for real.
So he had a protege that was nice, right? The protege ends up being bigger than Charlie Trotter.
Listen up, people. Listen up.
The protege got the 3 stars or something like that. So that was like a big thing in the documentary. And this made Charlie basically like done. He basically like gave up, crashed out mentally and stuff. The protege got like mouth cancer or something, a very distinct look. So fast forward like 3 months, I'm looking at Kenny's page. He out in Chicago, standing next to
Not in Chicago. We was in L.A.
Oh, he was in L.A.
It was at my boy restaurant I just told you in L.A.
Charlie Trotter's protege, the one that got the 3 stars. Kenny's cooking for him. I'm like, oh, wow, he's serious. That's damn near like going to play one-on-one with Kobe, right?
Nah, for real, like that.
Yeah.
Real talk. You know what I'm saying? And when I posted the picture and you told me on Instagram, I'm like, oh, Dan, no, like, you know what I mean? If you know. So that's what I was talking about. My boy, he got the restaurant in L.A. So he told me, he's like, yo, I'm about to go do a dinner at Birdie G's with Chef Jeremy Fox. And Chef Jeremy Fox, shout out to him too. Like, when we was coming up in the game, it's so real. I took my cookbook there, like, not even on groupie time, but I'm like, yo, sign this for me, like, because this is unreal. So my boy called me like, yo, I'm doing a dinner with I just drew a blank that quick. The chef from Millennia. Wow, I can't even think. That's crazy.
His protege?
Yeah, the protege. I never do this either. But anyway, so the chef, he got throat cancer. And he lost sense of taste in his tongue. So his restaurant, it attacks all your other senses. So you can smell, you can see, you can feel, everything but taste. So he was like, yo, we doing a dinner with him in L.A. He like, yo, I need you to pull up. Like, I'm like, come on, bro. You know I'm in there. Like, I'm in there. So it's like, that was a cool experience. You know what I mean? And just for us to be in there at the time and cooking with those prestige chefs, and we all black.
Yeah, that was dope.
We all black and how we moving militant. The food we cooking alongside.
How was he interacting with it?
They were shocked. They said we had one of the best dinners. Like, they were shocked. They couldn't even believe themselves what we was able to do in there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that was like, that's how I ended 2024. So you know how I'm coming 2025 for real.
Nah, that's dope.
Fire.
That was definitely
That's
dope.
fire. How you come up? How you get the name Flame, man? Like, They be calling you Flame. How you get the name Flame?
Nah. That's not what they be calling me, bro.
What they call you?
Yo, chill. They call me Chef Kenny Ware now, man.
Oh, they don't call you Flame no more?
Nah,
What was
man.
Flame?
I thought that had something to come with the grill or something, or the oven or something, man.
Nah. They're back in the day. You know how you growing up in the neighborhood, man. They give you different nicknames, and they call me Friday, man.
Oh, Friday.
Yeah,
I thought it was
action
Flame,
packed
man.
like Friday nights. That's why.
Friday?
Yeah, man. But
Friday.
you know, it's the rebranding, man. Chef Kenny now,
Chef
man.
Kenny.
Household name.
Yo, who's the dude, right, that be in the restaurants in the city that be like sprinkling the salt like this?
Oh, you talking about Salt Bay?
Salt Bay, right? Yeah. He a good cook? He like prestige? He like up there? He got his stars?
Nah. I mean, he doing this thing. That's what the food industry is shifting to now. You know what I mean? It's
Commercial kind of thing?
It's called more commercial. More people want to see the wow factor. So I mean, I guess I never been to the restaurant personally, but
What you think about Carbone?
oh, Carbone's fire. I got that cookbook too. Carbone is a staple restaurant. It was hard to get a reservation in Carbone way before Drake even said that line. Like that's you know what I'm saying? Like that's class. You got classic restaurants in New York City.
But what makes them? I think we had to ask Brian to this. But what makes them unique? Like so special? Why is it?
I mean, it's Italian. It's authentic Italian food. You know what I mean? Like it's good food, farm to table. You know what I mean? Fresh ingredients, vibrant. Like
Yeah.
Drake said it in the these rappers, they go to these restaurants, like half of them have no idea, like, and they still.
I actually heard of Carbone from Drink Champs. Dory was saying that for a minute.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna go Carbone. I gotta go Carbone. Come on.
Yeah.
I was like, this place.
Carbone is. I mean, but you still got other restaurants. Like I said, ABC Kitchen is a New York City staple right there by the Flatiron District, right there by Union Square Park. We got Lauren Place. I helped open Lauren Place over there.
I'm playing Ricardo's this summer, man. I'm at Ricardo's all summer.
I mean, but
it's
all type of spots, man. It's just whatever floats your boat, you know?
Yeah.
Backyard to Ricardo's.
Yeah.
I'm leaving the Mac, we're going to Backyard, then we have Ricardo's.
Yeah, we go to Backyard
That's a
BBQ Prime on the Mile. We going to Bayview Kitchen.
Facts.
We going to Seafood Mania. We going to Angie's Soul House. We going to barbecues. You want me to keep going, man? We're going to all.
That's on the island too,
all
right?
black-owned restaurants in Long Island. You know what I mean? We're going to bridge the gap between policy
Shout out
and
Bayview
culture.
Kitchen, man.
Yeah,
Amityville
that's my
as
boy.
usual.
We actually
Angie's
went,
Soul House.
me and Chef Bless, we went to culinary school together. A lot of people don't know that. Like, yeah, that's my boy. Like,
That's my guy right there, man. Shout out Job, man. Shout out Asim. Shout out the whole Bayview Kitchen, man. My
Yeah, that's
yardies. Those my
family.
peoples, man.
that's family.
Amityville as usual.
Talk about a little. So you come back from school, come back to Roosevelt. What's that? You went to the city, start working in the city. When do you start getting into straight entrepreneurship? Like, I want to go work on my own.
I mean, I always been an entrepreneur. Like, I come from a family entrepreneur. Like, my pops, Roosevelt legend, Long Island legend. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had the first record store in Long Island. Like, first spot. I'm talking about DJs used to come out here, dub their CDs, and he was selling them, sold beepers. He sold ringtones. When the Nextels, he sold Nextels, ringtones, Archie's Hip Hop, Long Island. So, you know what I mean? Like, my pops is always an entrepreneur, so he always instilled that to me from a young age. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, I did it all. I did landscaping. I did, like I said, so ringtones, car wash. So, you know, right before the pandemic, I was working in the Met Museum at the time, and my pops had he actually opened Backyard BBQ first on the Nautical Mile, and the pandemic happened, and I lost my job, and my pops was like, yo, the pandemic, I'm about to sell a restaurant. So he hit my partner up and was like, yo, I'm about to sell a restaurant. I was still trying to do my own thing at the time. So he was like, yo, holla at your boy, man. Y'all might as well just buy this. You know what I mean? I'm about to sell a house, move down south. Everybody was out of here. I don't know what was going on during the pandemic. Everybody was selling everything in New York and
Get up out of here.
get out of here.
So the prices went up.
Yeah, so, you know, that's when that really happened. And then the rest was history from there, man. I mean, you know, we've faced a lot of adversity in Freeport and Nautical Mile, but we here to stay, man. Last year, we, you know what I mean, alongside Taylor Darling and the Black Restaurant Coalition and my frat brothers Upsilon Mu Alumni Foundation, we gave away $10,000 worth of toys at the Long Island Children's Museum. Like, I don't think nobody's ever done a toy drive at the Long Island Children's Museum.
Major.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like, that's really what it's back, and that's really what it's about. And that's why, like, you know, I'm big on community advocacy and just bringing the community, because we got to build our communities back up, man. Like,
shout out to Taylor Darling. Definitely put in a lot of work.
yeah.
And the whole team over there too. But talk a little bit about the BRC, Black Restaurant Coalition.
Okay. Yeah.
You are obviously currently the president
of
the Black Restaurant Coalition. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So the Black Restaurant Coalition is over 150 restaurants in the 5 boroughs and Long Island. We advocate, educate, you know, for all minority-owned restaurants, bars, and lounges. You know, just being a president for a huge organization like that, and it's just like, it's still like some days I'll be like, for real, like, you know what I mean? Like, because, you know, like you said, bars and lounges and restaurants make up a lot of the community.
Absolutely.
And believe it or not, a lot of restaurants, bars, and lounges are feeling it right now. You see, they just started with the congestion pricing right now, so we don't even know what that's going to do. All kind of different policies that are being added. Sales tax is one thing that's like killing industries, man. Like, you know what I mean? It's hard for small minority restaurants or any business, you know, because we don't necessarily always have the access to capital. And when I say the access to capital, not that the money is not out there, but knowing how to go about it, knowing how to educate, you know what I mean? That's why I want to shout out to Dan, Drew, and Minority Millennials, you know what I mean, for hosting that webinar about MWBE certifications. That was powerful, man. And just, you know what I mean, being around, like I said, I observe, I watch people, I see what's going on, and I'll be like, listen, I want to be involved with that. I need to know everything about it. And I think the first time we met Dan, and I met you, and then like everybody was like, yo, you don't know Dan Lloyd? Like, I heard about you before I even seen you, like, for real. Like, and they pull up, like, man, I wasn't expecting him to be Dan Lloyd, but like, you know what I mean? We started, you know what I mean? It was like, Drew came out, I said, oh, nah, we could do this right here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we part of the crew, like, we family, like, and it was all love since day one. It's just like, but, you know, I joke around with you a lot, Dan. I'm like, yo, you all over, but if you want to be involved with something, you have to be thoroughly immersed in it, because, you know what I mean, a lot of what you do, you know, bridging the gap between policy and culture, like when I first heard you say that, I had no idea, you know, what it was like or what it was about. But then, you know what I mean, like, it really hit me the other day. I was speaking at Jack and Jill conference out here in Nassau County at Delphi, and a majority of the kids was talking about politics, and I'm like, yo, this is policy and culture right here. Like,
Facts.
I gave like 10 kids the Instagram, like, and they were so excited because, you know what I mean, like, we need to, as a race, as a culture, we need to be bringing each other in. Facts, and I think, you know, that's what a lot of people see, you know, that when they see that, they get threatened by it. You know what I mean? Because they know how smart we really are when we together.
Yeah. And it's just important, like, even this conversation right here, like, our relationship, having you pull up, us going out there to show you love, you bringing your team out to the MAC this summer. It's like we got a front line supporting each other. And that's the problem. Like, we not, like, I'm pulling up the Backyard regular. I'm going to get my sliders. I'm going to get my blue Mai Tais. And I'm chilling. You coming to the MAC, we having a good time. We got a front line supporting each other. We got to make that cool again. You feel me? I feel like it be times people want to come and support. How you said, like, yo, I see that. I got to get completely involved with that. It's people that see it, want to get completely involved with it, but just do some completely obsolete just to try to, like, so it's like we got to start making our situations to where it's like, yo, this is the cool thing to do. I'm supporting Backyard BBQ because this is my brother. He's a black man, and we all got to be successful. Once we got that mindset across the board, I feel like we could kind of like push the culture forward. You feel me?
Yeah.
And the product is good too, right? Like a lot of times, not to say that we shouldn't support, but there's a lot of expectations for a lot of support when the product is not even fully developed, or like
Facts.
the product is not the giving back to that need of support. Like you go to Backyard Barbecue, like I love lemon pepper. You have the best lemon pepper wings out there. So it's like that helps that economy, you know, in a way, because it's like, this is actually going to be quality food. This is going to be a good time. Like this is going to be something that helps the economy overall on Long Island. It's very important, especially when we talk about policy and culture, sports, the MAC, whatever it is. Like everything has to be, not that everything that we all do has to be the highest scale, but the majority of it should be.
It should be, and we should hold
tier.
ourselves
To that standard right there. I agree.
And on the flip side of that too is like, you know, and anything we do in life, we should hold ourselves to a certain standard. But a lot of the times, you know, what I see on a business standpoint as a minority black man, it's like we don't give ourselves any grace. You know what I mean?
What you mean when you say that?
Like, I see customers going and doing certain things and minority black owned establishments that they would never go to Carbone and do, that they would never go to Ricardo's and do. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? Like you could, prime example, the last spot we was at, I'm not gonna say any names, but it's like we went in there to have a good time, you know what I mean? Dropped a pretty good penny. And it's like the way how they treating us, they trying to shut the bar down. They trying to do this. If I ever would have do that, I would have had 1,000 Google messages like, I'm never going back to Backyard Barbecue. People would have been pulling pictures up of me, my past. You would have thought, you know what I'm saying? And we still stayed. Not saying that we was having a good time, but it's just like, you know what I mean? We don't hold other establishments to the same caliber.
Yeah,
That's why even from, you know, I tell, you know, a lot of restaurant owners I talk to on the daily is like, you know, it's an unfortunate situation, but this is the name of the game. We have to go above and beyond. We have to, you know, there's been times where I spend an hour a day off the rip going and reply to every Google review, every Yelp, good, bad, or indifferent, because you got to know, you have to give that level, you know what I mean, to the customer. Now you feel like, let's just say if you had a bad experience at Backyard Barbecue, you leave a Google review, which you're rightful to do so. But if you get a response from the owners, like, you know what I mean? Now I just turned that bad experience to, all right, I'm going to come back, and now straight out the gate, we got a second chance. So that's definitely something that I want our, you know, consumers to understand, and what we really got to think. Not saying that we should settle for anything, but we do have to, because things happen. People call out. Somebody might have a bad day. A purveyor might. There's so many different deciding factors that go into the cooking. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? A lot of places, you know, add gratuity on there because the people who's working there is not getting taken care of. So you have to, you know, from a business standpoint, you have to do that.
What is happening though? I just saw Lindenhurst Diner, by the way, just closed down. The one across town in Babylon.
The South Bay?
Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
Lindencrest, the other big diner.
We need to go buy those buildings. That's what we need to start
doing. Why are these diners
doing.
closing down?
I mean, because it's hard.
Is the food that expensive that they're not even...
When's the last time you bought a carton of eggs?
I don't know, like a week ago?
Yeah, the price went up. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Like everything is going up and up and up, and the profit margins to begin with are slim. So you already working with a slim profit margin, and then prices keep going up and up and up and up. You know what I mean? And then you're just talking about the product. You're not talking about the seasoning, the labor, all of that stuff that adds it to it. By the time you get it, you at a like 15% profit margin. It's simple math.
So what do you think? How's the restaurant industry looking right now? You think it's going to be healthy or?
I mean, people always got to eat, and you got to do other things, you know, to, you know, make up for those things. The restaurant industry right now is definitely changing day by day. So you never know. You never know. I know a lot of restaurants, a lot of places, look at what's that? Applebee's or Fridays just closed. We talking about huge corporations.
I'm surprised they even
Like
still
the whole
open.
thing closed? Like
Closing, like they closed like 40 stores or
Fridays,
something. Like Fridays. But you see the same thing. Like Red Lobster just got a black CEO, and if you know, what I mean, like I said, I pay attention to all of this stuff. Like I'm following Red Lobster on Instagram. Like I see they just switched their whole Instagram. Like they started. When you ever seen like a food blogger going into Red Lobster, like you know what I'm saying? But they do that.
They got Keith Lee.
I don't know who they got, but they paying. But this big corporations, and they can say like, all right, we're gonna put $20,000 into marketing. So now we might have been eating Red Lobsters as young kids and nostalgic, right? But now if we go scroll on our phone and see Keith Lee and Red Lobster, you're gonna be like, yo, Drew, let's go to Red Lobster real quick and see if it's still, you know what I'm saying? Or they can do that. With smaller restaurants, we can't do that. So we gotta remember, we definitely gotta keep the momentum going, you know what I mean? Support these minority black-owned establishments. And if you need to know where they're at, hit me up. We got the blackrestaurantcoalition.org. Black Long Island does a good job. Shout out to Black Long Island too. And just spread the word, man. Whether it's you know, catering, you leave a review, you tell somebody about it, you frequent it, whatever it is, you know, because I'm telling you, Dan, like we stick together and we build this culture. There ain't gonna be no need for every other race is keeping their money in their culture. We the only ones that's.
We just need. I just feel like because a lot of the work to go back to economic development real quick. What I noticed is me and Drew talk about this all the time. I mean, you could take Farmingdale and Wyandanch Village. Even the width of their main street is exactly the same. So this is not South Shore. This is not North Shore. This is literally Middle Island, east to west type villages. So they're going like this. Hempstead Village too.
They doing it over.
Yeah. You go down the main street of Farmingdale Village, you might have 50 restaurants. It's just restaurants. Maybe 50 out of 50, there's 10 Italian restaurants. Then you have like some open bar situations. You got like local bars. You got all these different things. You got burrito spots, taco spots. There's all different things. You go to in Straight Path and Wyandanch, you don't have one. Not one.
That's crazy.
Like, how is that even possible? It's 5 miles away from each other. And then you think about, is it even possible to open up one? That's the scary question. When I've been asking, like, who's gonna come here and move here and open it? There's not even like a willingness. There's not even boldness. There's not even like the courage to open up one. So that's the crazy part about the geographical layout that we're dealing with when we're talking about. And then if you did, what type of restaurant? So what we would have, and I don't know if this is considered necessarily, and that's what I mean by like Italian and all these spots is, so we have a lot of Jamaican restaurants. Is that considered like a full sit-down restaurant?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah? So would you say like the Jamaican restaurant is similar to an Italian restaurant, more like an Italian-Irish neighborhood? In a black neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, in a Jamaican restaurant, everybody like oxtails, rice, and peas, and like all you need is a table.
You just got done eating, but we're not really going. It's not like you're taking a family to go sit down though and have a bottle of wine or.
But why can't you though?
But we don't. There's not really any.
I mean, somebody got to come up with that idea.
Do you get what I'm saying though?
Yeah, no, I definitely get what you're saying. I'm just curious
because what I'm like, I see this all the time. Like, yo, we go to an Italian restaurant and buy a bottle of wine. We're getting whiskey. I'm getting a $25 glass of Glenlivet.
That's because the Italian they make us like, you know what I mean? Like when you go to an Italian restaurant, you think about wine. So it's because they put that together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why can't you go to a Jamaican restaurant, or you know what I mean? We need to start getting more Jamaican restaurants or Caribbean restaurants that'll sit down. You know what I mean? Or like something got to give.
Soul food spot, you go sit down, eat.
Yeah.
Soul food spots don't seem to last though.
I mean, that's It's about consistency, bro.
Yeah.
It's about consistent. It's
But
about
see, you
having
have to go
that.
bar lounge with that. I'm thinking that's like a
Bar
bar lounge.
lounge.
Yeah, that's like a bar lounge. I'm thinking just straight restaurant.
Nah, but you could do a soul food restaurant. Just sit down. It's like our culture just needs to be aware and understanding. Like you can have this. Like you know what I mean. Like we it's about having the courage. It's about having you know what I mean. Thinking, knowing that all right, this can be the norm for us.
This goes back to the mindset we were talking about earlier.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I just say. That's like a product of your environment. Like that's what when I was talking about before. It's like a lot of my different like I told one of my chefs back in the day like I'm gonna open up a fine dining soul food restaurant. And he laughed at me in my face, like oh okay. Fast forward, I went and worked at a fine dining soul food restaurant that was not owned by a black person.
That's sad.
You know what I'm saying?
How is that possible? Was the chef black?
They know how to scale and monetize
they know how,
culture.
exactly.
That's all. They scale and monetize.
I just told you I lived in Savannah. You ever been to Savannah, Georgia before?
No.
I've been to Savannah before.
I lived there. You know what I'm saying? Like I lived there.
Beautiful
to
place
go work at a
beautiful place.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what I mean? So
that's just one thing that always wrecks my brain is like because it doesn't make any sense on economic development because you can't build up the income of a community without having a social impact. Like there has to be something where people like, for instance, I'll go back to Winans. Like we built Winans Rising. It's like 300 apartments. There's nowhere to go. Like you, anywhere else you would build that many apartments, you walk out of the apartments or you go drive down your neighborhood and have a dining restaurant experience.
Or a Starbucks or
There's no Starbucks. It's the craziest backwards situation I've ever seen.
So how do we get? I mean, I just like I said, I started dabbling in the politic world and all of that stuff, dealing with you and minority millennials. So like, how do we advocate for that? Because it's like. You need people like me, people like you, people like Drew that are aware and understanding like this, we have the supporting data. So like every, revitalization of and shout out to Mayor Hobbs and Hempstead because I feel like he's drawing up the blueprint for that right now.
Yeah, no, that's a fact.
Right there. So every community that has, a revitalization, it's like they need what you call it. They need somebody that, that's restaurant savvy because without supporting cast, this can't happen. Yeah. So you need someone like myself that's a restaurateur that knows, all right, we need a fast casual, we need a sit down, we need this, we need that.
And I feel like that's all just coming down to policy and culture. Again, me and Dan was talking about just, mobilizing our people. We want to address the people that's making $80,000, not really $50,000 and down, right? Then you got to take that one person out that group that's educated enough to come back and educate the whole group.
And at the same time, the people that you educating got to be willing to want to be educated.
Facts.
Because we could sit here and talk about all this stuff to blue in the face. And Dan said this to me one time. It's like, yo, you know why I mess with you? Because like I invite you somewhere. I'll be, and you don't even know. Like I'll be in the most randomest spots, and you'll be like, yo, you can meet me at Crest Hollow's Club tomorrow. This, and I'm like, you know what? I'm taking that leap of faith because you don't know how many times like you done invited me to places there, and I come with at least 50 business cards, and I say what up to you, and I'm in the mix. Like in the mix. I'm meeting people. I'm shaking hands, like kissing babies, and I'm building my database. You know what I mean? I'm making a lane for myself. And at every situation that you invite me to, I leave out of there with a catering job. Easy, like,
and that's the economy though. That's the whole point of it. Like that's how it's supposed to circulate because it's just added more value.
But I have to be willing to want to be able. I gotta want it. Yeah. I gotta want it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the times we try to bring people along with us, but they don't want it. You know what I mean? And end up, bringing us back down. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I think right now, like the energy is shifting, man. The energy is shifting. And we talk about it all the time.
Clean energy for the culture.
Exactly. The new Long Island.
Coming up, February 27th.
Nah, definitely. But to go back on that a little bit, Kenny, what we was just talking about, right? As far as like, you said our people gotta wanna be better, right? I feel like it's like, that's true, but it gotta be to the point where like, yo, you don't have a choice. Like, this is a way of life at this point because this is like the norm for us. There's things happening in our neighborhood. No really proof of progress for anything. We don't know no elected officials. We don't even know the process of what's going on. You feel me? So I think it got to be a responsibility for the people like us that's aware to make it our business to make them understand. You feel me? Like, it got to be like that now. Like, I think it got to be like, yo, we got to make you understand because it's just not really catching your interest. You don't really understand. So we got to make you understand because you stagnating yourself and us as a whole right now. Because we can't get nothing done without you.
Nah, for real.
So we gotta figure out a way to critique the messaging and really get it out there.
It's a new Long Island, man.
Definitely,
That's it.
And again, that's the strengthening of the bottom half. I mean, even thinking about it, though, that's not uncommon. It's just for some reason it's taken our community, specifically the black community, much longer to do it. But the strongest community, their weakest elements is better than another community's weakest elements.
I think we could do it right here on Long Island, regionally. Like, the players that we got in the game, the communities that we come from, I think if we was to really pull our resources together, everybody stay official. Nobody try to backdoor nothing. We good.
Nah, but listen, if you gonna talk about business, man, you got operating agreements now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta know, like, and it's never personal, it's always business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we come to the table and be like, yo, listen, I got this, we're going to get this spot.
I feel that's good on a business aspect. I'm talking about the people. We got to go to the table. It don't need to be, yo, I got this. Yo, this is this, and this is what we doing. You feel me? That's what that got to be. In business, it could kind of get, but the business ain't going to matter if we don't. Think about what I'm saying, Dan, right? He's saying in the business world, which he's right.
No, I get it.
Absolutely right. But say, what if they try to shut down your restaurant? You don't really got nobody to lobby for you.
No, they tried it.
Yeah,
they tried it. They still trying it. They tried it.
Shout out to Taylor.
Yeah, they tried it.
But so prime example, say she was just somebody that was just coming out here fronting. Yo, Kenny, I like you, blah, 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 blah. Let's get this picture, but not really for you. Now when it come time to put on, because they trying to close your restaurant, you don't really got your people. You got your peoples. You got a couple people that's going to pull up, but mass numbers of your people, they're not really mindful enough to know what's going on. You feel me? They might think they could give you a couple dollars to help you save your restaurant, not knowing that they just got to show up and be a voice. You feel me? So that's what I'm talking about as far as like, yo, we need the people. Like, that right there was a good example of policy and culture the right way. You got somebody that's in office, you black with a restaurant, they trying to do different things, but it's not really, this don't really cause the shutdown. You feel me? Let's make this relationship. Let's do this right here. She did the right thing. I want to say 95% of the time out here is always on the other side of that.
Listen, man, I like Dan said, I think the energy is shifting. That's why, you know what I mean, we gotta, like I go back to, we gotta, as a people, like, we gotta educate, we gotta advocate. You know what I mean? Like, we got to tell people, I'm learning about minority certifications, MWBE certifications. I got to put my people on. Like, yo, listen, you already got your cleaning company. You already got your nonprofit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Shout out to my boy Rich, too. So Rich in Community.
So Rich TV, man. Strong youth.
Strong youth.
Blessings and love. Blessings and love.
Peace and blessings, King. Peace and blessings, King.
Yeah.
That's my son right there.
But yeah,
genuine brother.
Yes, sir. Like, you gotta put people on, and you gotta tell them, like you said, Drew, this is what we doing. You know what I mean? Like, I just opened up Backyard on the Go in the Supreme Courthouse in Nassau County. Like, that's a Nassau County contract. That's a government contract. Like, there's you in a different, you know what I'm saying? Like, playing field now. Facts. Like, it's different now. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but we could do that because this is the information is out there. We just gotta assess have access to it, and once we have access to it, once we crack the code, we gotta have our business in order, and we all gotta move militant.
That's a fact. That's a big fact.
Kind of like with the Black Panther movement, you know what I mean? Like how they was moving militant, like, you know what I'm saying? Like
but why?
Black
right?
Wall
Obviously,
Street.
like they had their period, and it's like we could look back and see what went wrong, what went right.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just talking about this actually, because even when we talk about like forcing them to do it, what are the things that we are saying like they can no longer do? Because that has to be part of it too.
Yeah.
Right? Like what are the principles?
And it's like the things that you could know, like my thing is what you could no longer do is just not be involved. That's what you could just tell these niggas. Yo, what you could no longer do is just sit home and not be involved, bro. You got the right to go out here and vote. You got the right to know what's going on in your community, bro. Like, this is the person that's making this decision right now. Do you know him? Do you know her? What has she done? What's her track record? Anything. That's your responsibility to know that. You feel me? So it's like, we don't know that. Our like people in our community don't know that.
I'm dealing with it right now. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I watch y'all podcasts and I watch the people that come up here, and a couple of the podcasts y'all was just talking about, you know, different communities. Like I'm from Roosevelt, you know what I'm saying? And the community is shifting, but if I'm not involved, what's going on out there, like the roads is not gonna get like there's no Black-owned spots in Roosevelt no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no, like, the schools are doing amazing in Roosevelt. Like, they just started doing Centennial Park over. There's no, like, you ride up and down Nassau Road, there's none of that no more. But if the people in that community are not getting involved, if the new leaders are not leading and stepping up on being civically engaged, you know what I'm saying? I'll be paying attention. You know, I'm about to switch my profession in a minute. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if that's not going on, if like you say, Drew, if you telling these people, if I'm not telling these people, you can't do this no more. Like, this is what we doing. This is cool right here. Then we're gonna strengthen up these communities. We're gonna know about the governor's plan, or, you know, when they throwing all this money to the communities, or these grants that they having, you know what I mean? Because I sit in these in these buildings and these meetings, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I'd have been at the clean energy meetings with Dan and you. I'd have been in, you know, up in Albany, and it has nothing to do with food. But then it starts, like, the pieces start coming together, and it's just like...
Speaking of Albany, you up there next month, right? You coming through?
Oh, yeah.
14?
He went to the State of the State last year,
Yeah.
remember?
Nah, we talking about the real thing, the caucus.
Oh, yeah.
You got to come this year.
Yeah. We in there.
February 14th to the 16th.
Yeah.
Long Island in the building. Right, the right
We could have State of the State, though, last year.
Yeah.
That's this Monday, the Tuesday.
Okay.
That was lit last year.
Yeah, it was. It was a good vibe. It's always a good time in Albany, man. Always, you know what I mean? And to be around other people just that's making an impact in their community, you know what I'm saying, and see what's going on. And then to go up there and advocate and bring those resources back down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's really policy and culture.
Can you talk a little bit about the construction program you have, the union construction program in Roosevelt that you were advocating for?
Yeah, so that was the first program, and it was brought there by Taylor Darling, which was phenomenal. I mean, like, you go to Roosevelt High School now, like, all of these different programs, the barber program, they got culinary arts program, they got a swim. We don't even got a pool at Roosevelt High School. We got a swimming team. You know what I mean? Like that's dope. That's fire. That's fire. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I talked to some of my peers, and it was like, if they had these different things for us to do when we were coming up, maybe I wouldn't have went that way. You know what I mean? That's why, you know, I feel like it's so important to be involved with the youth now and having, because you can go to, let's say, Huntington or Riverhead or these other places, and these Garden City or Belmore, these kids are in fencing, they playing this instrument, they got this, they don't have, and don't get me wrong, they get in trouble too, because the same thing that's going on in our communities is going on in their communities, probably worse. But if they have more things to do, they're not getting in that.
You got to think about it, right? Who runs the youth center in Roosevelt? Do Roosevelt got a youth center?
Yeah.
How's that operating? Is that like real open to the community? The kids could get in there all the time?
Honestly, you're talking about the PAL. Police activities.
Like the youth center, like the Roosevelt youth center.
Oh, the Roosevelt Youth Center. I'm not even sure who run the youth center.
Feel me? That's a problem. Like you being an athlete from the neighborhood, me being an athlete from my neighborhood, these youth centers is being very, very underutilized. You feel me?
Underutilized.
Idle time is the devil for the kids. You feel me? To where like now you getting out of school, say 2:30, you're not playing basketball, you're not playing football. What are you doing from 2:30 to you say 1 o'clock in the morning now? You feel me? When we was growing up, football teams, basketball teams, PAL, whatever it is, I feel like we lost that essence as far as like that even processing right there. Like I know sports kind of processed me coming up. Like that gave me a form of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I knew if structure. I knew if I wanted to play basketball, I had to do this. I knew if I wanted to play basketball, I couldn't do this. You feel me? So I just think like with that missing right now in a community, especially with a lot of the young mothers, man, is just leaving like the kids out there on idle time. And you can add this type of stuff that we talking about right now into it with kids.
Exactly.
We programmatically hollering at kids on a regular now. Mac Academy, Civic Works, Policy and Culture, Like I feel like the youth centers, like the community. We always say it takes a village. Like I really grew up. I don't want to say across Long Island, but I have family in Roosevelt. I have family in Wyandanch. I have family in Glen Cove. Like the parks and rec, the gyms, the Ys, like that was regular stuff. Like in the day-to-days out there, it's not like that no more. So I just feel like we got to get that back in place too. Like, and we need strong black men running these. Like, if you pay attention to each youth center, it's ran by a woman. I don't got no disrespect about no woman. There's none of that. But like, our young black men got to be able to identify with somebody and relate to.
Exactly.
You feel me? And I think sports is kind of like the easy way. That should save half of our generation, I feel like.
And just being the kids, being involved. That's why I said I give y'all flowers because, you know what I mean? Like, I'm with y'all. I see what y'all do, and I see how you know what I mean? You took the basketball, and you taking the clean energy, and you putting into it, and you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we playing sports, but we going to uplift you, too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to bridge the gap, literally. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and now our kids is thinking about getting, you know, engineering jobs or doing this or getting into politics and so on and so forth. And that's important. And it's just why it's like, you know what I mean? You got to be around people that's shaking and moving. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's not hard. The playbook is right there, but you just got to be involved. And it's why can't we duplicate that in this community, in that community, and so on and so forth, and just keep thriving?
Facts.
Yeah. Man, listen, it's a big year, man, 2025. So we have a lot of plans. We got a couple of things coming up. Definitely going to be, obviously, working a lot with you, Kenny, and everything that you have going on. I'm excited for this year.
Yeah, I'm excited, too. The youth summit last year was fire, too.
Youth Summit is gonna be a movie.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy this year.
We adding a basketball aspect this year. Gonna have a We Are the Future Summit Thursday. Friday is the Max Summit, Making Athletes Career Knowledgeable Summit. We pushing for Caitlin Clark and Rich Paul right now to be on the panel. And we're going to have an all-star game. New York versus Long Island right now, or it's going to be New York versus New Jersey, guys and girls. We still ain't decided, but that's going to be a movie. The pre-reception going to be that Thursday.
Oh, yeah, that was vibe.
Live at the Coliseum.
We live.
That was vibe. Shout out to the Sands, too, man.
Sands, yeah. Again, like massive. Listen, man, you got to have that Chef Ware.
Yeah.
Live at
listen,
the Sands,
man. I don't know, man. If they hearing this, man, we could have the first Michelin star restaurant in Long Island in the Sands. That might be fire, bro.
So you about to be the first Michelin star chef on Long Island, you saying?
Listen, man.
On Long Island or from Long Island?
On Long Island.
They got Michelin stars here?
Nah.
Oh, so we
I don't think no chef in Long Island ever got a Michelin star.
So what's this at? What's this at? How many years we say we gonna come holler at you and you had your stars?
I mean, let's just say that's a 5. Now it's going on a list of 5-year goals now.
Let's get it.
In Long Island, first chef, because you know what I mean. So shout out to my boy Pete too from McDonald's. You know, I was awarded. I used to work at McDonald's, so one in every 8. One in every 8 Americans' job first job was McDonald's, and I'm the only person in Long Island to have that jacket. By the way,
That's fine.
so I'm
Nicky D's
yeah,
jacket?
it's fine. All American, all American. So you know what I mean? Like,
I worked at McDonald's. I need my jacket. Man.
I ain't never worked at McDonald's.
I worked at McDonald's for real, right there on Hempstead Turnpike.
My first job was Modell's. I bounced everywhere. I went from Modell's to Target to McDonald's. I was working everywhere.
Listen, it built the structure.
Nah,
It did.
Gotta get
Foundation.
to it. But Kenny, appreciate the time. Appreciate the conversation. Again, like we got a lot of work to do. Definitely important conversation to start the year off. Probably have you back on later on in the year. You never know what we're going to have going on. And how is the talk a little bit before we end up real quick? Just the
two things too, because I'm not gonna let him get off of that.
The summer element definitely. Of the mile, like just backyard, the mile,
Speaking
like that environment,
I'm glad
like just that lifestyle, like what's happening there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the nautical mile is the nautical mile. I think the summer on a mile now. We got Prime on a mile over there. We got Hurricane Harry's down the block. We got Backyard BBQ there. So it's kind of the vibe. I feel like the nautical mile is like really, getting that feel back in the summertime. We don't got to go all the way to the city. We don't got to go all the way to the Hamptons. You could come, get a good vibe, good cocktails, and some good scenery, and relax.
Heard the man, he said the Nautica Mile is the Nautica Mile, but the Boulder Mac Park is the Boulder Mac Park. And Backyard BBQ had a squad in there this summer, man, and they left kind of early. We got my man on the show, so I gotta, I'm eating free at Backyard for the rest of the year. Blue Mai Tais and sliders. So, Backyard came out. They'll be back out this summer, man. And it was a good thing. What y'all first round, right? Yeah, the playoffs. Playoffs. They made it to the playoffs. Shout out CJ, 40 ball boom, the whole squad they had, man. We looking forward to seeing them next summer. 3/4 $90K at the max. So it's up, man. Hope to see Backyard back.
You see what Trey doing right now at school? Trey dropping them numbers.
Shout out my boy Trey, man. He leading the country right now in Division II in assists, man.
Yeah,
Point guard, he at Pace University, man. My boy Trey Alexander, man. Long Island. Roosevelt, Freeport. That's my boy, man. Shout it out.
It's all good, man. A couple of my players were still overseas, but it's all good. They had to get that bag, man. It's all good, man.
You gotta come back next year.
Yo, don't worry.
Make sure they're not overseas.
Listen, man. I told my boy Boom, man. I was like, yo, Boom, come on, man. We got to get it this year, man.
It's not enough. I'm falling back this year. I'm straight commissioning. I'm saying I'm gonna do some shit out the way, but I want to see what's going on. It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Without my crew out there, it's gonna be a lot of players available now. So, y'all might be it.
It's all good, man. I'm going in the city. I'm going to grab I got a couple hitters out there. Shout out my boy Holloway too.
Where
man.
Quincy at? Quincy popping out?
Yo, Quincy. I talked to Quincy like 2 months. Another Roosevelt legend right there. Quincy might be in France right now.
Shout out my boy Quincy. Quincy Hankins, man. I grew up with Quincy playing ball, man. Played in my tournament, man. Roosevelt High, man. Shout it out. He's still over there getting that bread, man. That's my guy.
He over there. We used to call him Tree back in the days. Like, so Quincy we from the same block, like where we grew up at. You know what I mean? So we used to all be playing ball, like, and Quincy tall as hell. Quincy nice in football too. Nice in football. So we got some athletes coming out of Roosevelt.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah, that championship that they talking about, they beat Amityville.
Nah, that wasn't that one.
That was
before that when they beat Amityville.
7-6. They beat us by 1 point.
That was at Stony Brook.
Darrell McClintock was tough. He was nice. Number 8.
Yeah, Darrell, my boy Marquise too, the quarterback.
He was tough.
Yeah, Mike Mayo.
He was tough. McClintock was the problem.
Yeah.
McClintock was the one.
Yeah.
He was the one. McClintock was the one.
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was like 06.
06.
That was my sophomore year.
Yeah.
That was my 05, 06.
Who was that's when Darrell Young was playing. Yeah,
Darrell Young.
He was that game was crazy,
if
bro.
my son was never hurt,
Yo, that game was crazy.
he was hurt. He was hurt. Still boogieing.
Yo,
He just
what
couldn't
position
break
was he
it
playing?
Running
Running
back.
back.
Okay.
Running back, and we was bringing
First
that
play
pain.
of the game, son. I'm gonna keep it real with you. They set the tone.
We was
First play of the
bringing,
game.
like, for
My
real,
son
like-
Matthew Williams, this nigga Nuke caught the kick. Boom! Tried to return that shit. One of the Roosevelt niggas came like, wow! Like lit him, son. The stadium.
This was
lit
at
up, son.
Stony Brook.
Yo, the
Man.
stadium lit up, son. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
7-6 ball
Shout out to
game.
Joe Vito too, man.
Legend.
in
Shout
the
out Vito,
community,
man.
yeah.
Legendary coach, man. Really
Yeah.
cared for the community, man.
Still does. He's still
Word.
coaching too.
That's a Roosevelt coach?
Yeah, Roosevelt coach. My boy Joe Vito, man. He coached the best of the best.
He Italian?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Joe
Italian.
Vito.
Joe Vito, Italian.
For a long time.
Yeah, for real. But nah, I appreciate y'all, man. This is a powerful conversation, man. Make sure, if y'all not, make sure y'all following Minority Millennials on
you go.
Instagram. Make sure you following Backyard BBQ, Boulder Mac Park, Policy and Culture.
Civic Works.
You know what I'm saying? Because this is a new Long Island. We about to have the merch soon, too.
fact. That's
New
a big
Long
fact.
Island merch.
T-shirts, hats, everything coming soon.
Yeah. That's it.
Let's get it.